Welcome back. My name is Dale Myers, and this is day 3 of my 90-day video challenge. Today, we're going to talk about how to fail fast to find success as an entrepreneur and as a leader. So, failure gets a bad rap. When we think of failure, and some people think of hanging their head, you didn't reach your goal, but the reality of it is everyone you admire in every field has failed a whole bunch, a lot, has more failures than successes. You are remembered by your successes. I was on a Damon John workshop about a year ago, and it struck me. And so this guy's a billionaire, or at least has sold multiple billions of dollars in apparel, one of the co-founders of the brand FUBU, widely known as an expert and as a marketer. His comment was that he's had over 1,000 failures, but he's remembered for 2 or 3 successes. And this is similar to what we all know about. We at one point, most of us learned how to ride a bicycle, right? How many times did you fall before you eventually had success? But you found a way to keep going. You fell, you got bruised, or maybe you cried. Think about your favorite athlete. How many times has that professional football player or your favorite college team, how many times have they dropped the pass before they were able to get to the level where they can consistently pull in that pass, shooting free throws, 3-pointers, or baseball? The pros, the top, are lucky if they can hit 1 out of every 3 balls that come their way. So that means they're failing 2 out of 3 times. That's in the pros. How many thousands or tens of thousands of pitches have they failed on in order to get there? So again, the concept isn't new. We deal with it in our lives, but somehow we still don't embrace the fact that we need to fail towards success. So how do we do that then becomes the issue. Well, obviously we need to have some methodology for failing and then learning from that process. So one thing that I was reading up in the article of, I think it's a Journal of Experimental Psychology. There was an article that talked about, and it said something like, the best companies, the ones that are successful, those managers, those leaders, those entrepreneurs that are the most successful, they don't focus on the fact that they failed. They keep their eye on the results and say, hey, what can we learn from this result? What could we do differently? It's not about who made the mistake. It's about what was the mistake. What did we learn along the way that we could use in our current business, some periphery business, and sometimes it might be in a total different application, but there's always something that you can learn from this. So this is about keeping your eye on the ball. Again, going back to our example, when you were a kid learning to ride your bicycle, why did you keep getting back on that bicycle? You bruise up your arms, your knees, and whatnot. Why'd you keep getting back up? Because the opportunity on the other side meant enough to you. This goes back to the previous video that I did where I talked about you have to find your why. When you're starting up a business, you got to find some powerful why because it's going to be tough. So in business, you have to have a personal goal. You have to have clearly defined goals. And we'll talk about that in a future video. How do we come up with these clearly defined goals? So keep your eye on the goal and measure it. You have to be measuring these things often enough so that you can sense and respond to your environment. So doing that, we can learn from our failures and accelerate towards success. See, what's happening in your competition, the poor leaders, the unsuccessful entrepreneurs, they're saying, oh my gosh, we got to put the brakes on everything. We had to stop. Let's not even talk about it. Woo, let's not even go in that direction anymore. It's not the right approach. Keep the lines of communication open. Keep it flowing so that you can sense and respond to your environment. Figure out why. Ask questions like, how did this happen and why? What can we do in the future? It's not about who, it's about what. It's about why and how. Those are the questions that will get you towards faster growth. Interesting, Winston Churchill, long time ago, had a quote, and I'm going to look here. It says, oh, here it is. Success is stumbling from failure to failure with no lapse in enthusiasm. Stumbling from failure to failure without a lapse in enthusiasm. You'll only do this if your why is big enough. You'll only do this if your eye is clearly focused on your objectives, your clearly defined goals. Uh, I'm a football guy. I love football, coach football, played it. And Vince Lombardi had a quote that I really love. He said, obstacles are those things we see when we keep when our eyes are distracted from our goals. So again, we fail. We understand that we fail, but get your eyes back on your goal. Let's learn and move forward. So again, we're going to ask how over and over in order to get there. And so if we're going to fail, let's fail early and often, right? And then we also want to manage the cost of failure. This is a key point. Manage the cost of failure, not the rate of failure. Fail as many times as you need to. Take manageable risks. Business owners, entrepreneurship is a huge risk. Let's manage the risk. Manage the cost of the failures, not the rate of failures. The founder of Toyota stated something to the effect of, I get the exact quote right here. Yeah, success is 1% of your work as you get through 99% of your failures. You got to go through the 99% to enjoy the 1%. That's just the way it works. Again, my previous video, and I'll put a link in the description box below. I talked about this is a 3 to 5 year at a minimum, a 3 to 5 year commitment of time, energy, and resources if you really want to be a successful entrepreneur. It's not about jumping from one thing to the next, and that's not to say that sometimes you will put forth the good effort and it won't work out. Well, that's fine. You learn from it, but it's about pushing through, finding the whys and the hows, and accelerating yourself. And the best companies, they embrace failure, and in fact, they use it as a source of competitive advantage. Many technology companies, they'll invent something and test it out, talk to your customers, find out if it's working, if it's not. But you know what? Maybe it didn't work out over here, but we can apply it to a different industry. Think about the drug business. When they're doing research, they're trying to solve one problem. Perhaps they're looking at trying to deal with something related to a cancer. It may or may not work, but they're tracking their data and their progress, and they'll see, oh, it looks like while it wasn't successful with our cancer results, people that use it had a lower incidence of kidney malfunction. So now they repackage the same drug as an aid to help out those people that are suffering with some kidney issue. So again, learn from your failures. This is not anything that you have not done in your life. You need to embrace it. Manage the cost of the failures, not the rate of the failures. That's the key. The best managers do it. The best leaders do it. Managers and leaders, and you entrepreneurs that have employees or will have employees. Do you encourage your employees to fail? Do you actually give them leeway to fail, as long as there are, again, protocols for how do we handle that failure? So keep that in mind. Some of the best companies do that. I know that 3M, they're a big engineering company. They used to, I'm not sure if they still do it, but they used to give their chemists and their chemical engineers like 20% of their time was free time, so that they could go in the lab and just create stuff. Sure, they failed. That's part of the game, but often it developed into some amazing technologies. So again, we want to learn from our failures, manage the cost of failure, not the rate of failure. And so use that as a competitive advantage. My last example, J.K. Rowling, famous author of Harry Potter fame. Dozens of publishers turned down her manuscripts, but obviously she's a billionaire today. What's in you that you've tried and hadn't had results and you've given up on? Go back and revisit it. Put it out there. Go talk to your customers. Talk to your customers. All success, your customers will make you rich. Go talk to your customers. What was wrong? What could you improve? What could you do differently? Is there someone else that might appreciate that product or service better? Success lies on the other side of failure. I'm Dale Myers with Vision Advance. If you need any help with that business opportunity, we'd love to be of assistance. I thank you for listening to this video. Thumbs up on the video. Subscribe if you haven't. Please share it with a friend. We're on our way. Thank you very much.